Day 40 of the 40-Day Soul Fast by Dr. Cindy Trims. Today's chapter focuses on the power of telling stories. Guys, today is the last day of the 40-Day Soul Fast, and I'm just so happy. I feel like I'm lost for words in terms of how I feel, and I'm just so happy that I've finally come to an end of this. And I really hope that if you've been staying with me from day one up until this moment, kudos to you and kudos to your growth as well. The first quote here by Richard Stone: when the lessons of the past are offered without the stories that led to them, it is difficult, if not impossible, for us to learn from the experiences of others. Stories force the listeners to connect their lives with parts of the stories being told. Your mind cannot help but offer up connections buried like treasure within you when you encounter the words of Jesus and others. You are the seed planted by Jesus in a field, a treasure for others to find. You are the pine nut who starts out full of potential, seen only by the Creator God, and yet nurtured by His ways, grows into a huge tree of life in which others can find a secure place to birth and foster their young dreams. As you become your true self and tell your story to others, you become part of a cloud of witnesses, a city set upon a hill whose light shines brightly, and who collectively witness the love of God for the world. So let your light shine. Have you ever been in a stage in life where things are not just going well, you've just gone through a heartbreak, whatever it is, something's happened, right, that feels like a disaster and like your world is going to come to an end. And then one day Sarah Jakes just comes on, and then you listen to her sharing a story of her life that sounds exactly as the place that you are right now. And she then starts talking about hope and how things begin to change and how God, changed her story, how her life was able to be transformed. And that story alone can give you hope in that moment of your pain, of your breakdown, or whatever it is you could be going through in that moment. Just hearing her story alone can give you hope. I'll give you another example, is Tony Robinson's. One thing I've noticed about his messages is that he shares his stories a lot, especially from his childhood. And he talks about how what happened to him transformed his mindset and his life. And when we hear people's stories like this, they expose us to a realm, to something that our mind could possibly not conceive in the past. But when we hear that, oh, this person was actually able to overcome this person was able to be successful in this route, this person was able to do this and do that. When we see that people are able to overcome certain things, especially when they share their stories, we're able to think that it's possible for us too. There's a girl called Doechii. I've never listened to her song before. I don't know who she is, but I know though, on TikTok, I was watching, I think she recently won Grammys or something like that. And I saw people were posting videos from her past and how she was talking about wanting to, step into the unknown and do something great for herself. Now, this is me paraphrasing, right? And then she believed in herself enough. And the thing is that now people are going back to tell the story of where Doechii was before she now won the Grammy. And a lot of people are now being inspired by that same video to go after their own destiny, to go after their own greatness. And I think that's the power of stories. And here Dr. Cindy Trims also talked about how Jesus uses stories and parables a lot to reach us. So I think it's amazing. Even the Bible, not to go too far, in the Bible gives us stories about men like David, people like Queen Esther, people like Apostle Paul. We knew the story of how Apostle Paul was before he became a martyr for Christ. We know the story of Mary and Joseph before Christ was born. We know the story of Naomi and Ruth. And when we are able to be exposed to this story, we can believe that what they experienced is also possible for us. Authentic Christians are persons who stand apart from others. Their character seems deeper, their ideas seem fresher, their spirit softer, their courage greater, their leadership stronger, their concerns wider, their compassion more genuine, and their convictions more concrete, by Bill Hybels. And then she goes on to ask us a question here, saying, change begins one thought, one soul, one life at a time. But what is the one thing you could adopt that could change everything? What will be the new story that you tell as a result? There's something I just really wanted to leave with you. In this last chapter, Dr. Cindy Trims says something so profound. She says, stop living that small little story, that story of the past, that story of the pain. Not saying you should cover it up, right? Because that's what makes you you. That's what becomes part of your journey. That's what propels you into your journey, right? But at the same time, don't stay in that story. Prepare your mind for a bigger story, a better story, a more enlarged, beautiful, joyful story. And in all of that, there's always going to be things that would happen. But regardless, Think ahead, think bigger, and don't just stay in that small space of like, oh, I grew up in a small town, oh, my father left me, oh, my wife left me, oh, I became poor. Yes, it happened. But what do you do with that information? You propel forward. You do not stay there. You do not keep on saying the same old thing every single time. It's time to move forward. It's time to push ahead and take 2025. I would say definitely go and buy the 40 Day Soul Fast by Dr. Cindy Trims. It's truly a life-changing book. But thank you so much for tuning in to day 40 of the 40 Day Soul Fast. I am so happy, and I pray that as you know, I was going through the motions, you were also going through the motions with me, because this channel, BDL with NG, is about growing together. It's about journeying together. I'm not here to be like, I'm perfect and I know it all, but I'm calling you into the space of healing and growing, because good things grow here. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the rest of my videos.